Sicheke kidogo asikie.
Wenda polepole. A bull does not laugh, it moans.
The bullfighter, Dr. Bonny Khalwale, is in the house. And so is Tony Gachoka. And the bench is on fire. Let me just read one or two tweets. Collins Obiero says, surely not all of Karangi's men are corrupt. You must qualify that statement or retract, Senator. Helen Matara says, enjoying the conversation. I think Tom is getting too emotional. Maybe she's watching the wrong show. Maybe she meant Tony. I don't know.
Okay.
Guy Dumondi says, to relax. Nyoa mtu asubuhi.
Nani enyolewe?
Senator, not all generals people are corrupt. And you want to respond to Tony before the break, remember?
Okay, yeah, I am alive to that comment, but I wanted to respond to what Tony said just before we went on recess about the money he gave me, Tony Gachoka, 70,000. Thank you very much.
Yes.
He did, but he was not alone. I have cut a niche for myself that maybe I'm one of the few politicians in this country who captures the imagination across the political divide. I remember the wife of the late Dr. Kikonyo Kiano not only sent me 50,000 shillings at that by-election, but she told me that I reminded her of her husband because at the independence, their husbands came to give Kenyans a country called Kenya. And she told me that I'm one of the few who are remaining who are fighting for Kenya. Others are fighting for their tribes. She sent me 50,000 shillings. I remember the wife of the late J.M. Kariuki came all the way to the National Assembly and asked Speaker Marende that where can I get Bonny? I want to tell him he reminds me of my husband J.M. I not only got that from your side of the divide, but I also got support from the ODM side because I pursue issues. Having said that, you have spoken about 2 million shillings from President Uhuru. Maybe it was 2 million, maybe it was more. I never made any contact with President Uhuru during my by-election. Uhuru was interacting with Soita Shtanda and Eugene Wamalwa. Probably if he gave them millions, then they should then go and account to him. Having said that, let's now respond to the issues raised by the tweet. The tweet is, Khalwale should explain, not all the officers of Karangi are corrupt. Of course that is true. That is true. I am saying most of the officers in Kismayu are no longer dealing with matters of national security. They are doing their own business. And you know, I don't want to go too far. I have been chairman of public accounts in the National Assembly, longest serving in the history of this country. I'm still the chairman of the same committee in the Senate. I know that what drives most of the politicians, most of the public officers, are the multi-million-dollar projects. The military has such contracts. If Karangi was really an honest person, he would today have given President Uhuru that advice. But because he's playing it safe, he doesn't want to be moved away from those contracts. I'm expecting Karangi to resign.
And what if he resigns? Who's going to replace him? Someone similar?
Are you saying that Karangi is such a special person that is God-given? We have a lot of Kenyans, Tony included. But Tony will not serve in a military position. But those Kenyans can serve. I will tell you why the president might find it difficult to replace Karangi. It is because the guys who could compete Karangi, and I can give their names, but I don't have their permission, they were retired prematurely to pave way for Karangi. And the way the security structure is being run in this country, I am not a tribalist. I am telling you, the president will not get it right until he dismantles tribal networks in the security structure. Let me tell you, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Kenya is Uhuru. You know his tribe. Karangi is from the same tribe, KDF. NIS, Kamweru, was deliberately plucked from military intelligence so that the right person would be in that position. And as they plucked him, they brought another person to replace him from the same tribe, NIS. I am telling you, Uhuru is making Moi to look good. When Moi was president, no single tribe sat in a security structure. If people want to think in this Kenya that I'm talking about tribalism, Tony, go and read Article 238 of the Constitution of Kenya, which in Sub-Article 5 provides that the establishment in the security forces will have to capture the national diversity in equitable proportions.
Tony, I have two things to say. In the break, Khalwale, my brother, said I had promised Kenyans some English that needs a dictionary.
Okay, let's come to security.
So the Blatangan Encyclopedia defines intelligence to be the capacity to discover relationships and to deduce correlates that are relevant to the solution of a problem. Just that I feel that, preview that we had tweeted. With regard
can I respond to English?
Hold on.
I want to respond to English. That is English. That is not national security. I want to respond to English.
I think, Jeff, we have to have some.
No, viewers can think I don't know English.
No, you know English.
And he will have his chance. With regard to security,
yes,
I want to join the senator and anybody who is being critical properly. There is no other better function of a democracy than the free expression of the people and the right of their people to hold their government to account and to demand a better government because it is their sovereign will through which they donate through a social contract to the government of the day. And nobody, including me, will ever cipher Dr. Khalwale or any Kenyan from putting the president to account. I want to say this. Every presidency begins with a honeymoon. And a president wakes up with advice, not threats. With persuasion, not intimidation. And it was a good move the president made the other day to begin to dismantle what was clearly losing the confidence of Kenyans. And I remember Jomo Kenyatta reached a point where he could not work with Jaramogi, Odinga. And he made a decision to bring in Kadu. And his whole government changed. And Jomo Kenyatta was defined by that decision. If you go to Moi, there was a time even Nicholas Biwott, his right-hand man, was held at the GSU headquarters. And even Hezekiah Oyugi was held over the murder or alleged murder of Robert Ouko. And what I am simply saying is that there is a genuine cry and call by Kenyans to have the president step up the issue of security and to overhaul his house. All I am simply saying, you do not do that the Raila Odinga style of coup d'etat of 82. You don't do it by marching and taking over the office of the president. You do it the way Khalwale is doing it tonight. Telling the people, hold on, these issues are important, these things must be discussed, and it is important for the president to hear them. It is important for the president to listen. It is important for the president to act. All I am saying, we have a constitution that we voted for as Kenyans. One government at a time. You get 51 plus 1% of the vote and half the counties, 25%. We give you 5 years, Your Excellency, Mr. President.
Okay.
If you fail, we go back to the people. What I am trying to avoid is the idea that anarchy is an option or people can go through what you call civil unrest, etc. It happened in the Arab Spring. Those countries like Egypt have collapsed. There is no law and order. It goes off. I have no problem with Khalwale. I see him peacefully demonstrating on the streets. And I see policemen protecting him and greeting his hand. But the problem is the people who are behind Khalwale, the men in black. When Khalwale has passed, they attack everyone. There's no problem with him, demonstrating, but he cannot control. That is my problem.
Senator, let me ask
Jeff, before you ask me, yes. I want to respond a little bit. My brother started with big English, defining intelligence. Literally, that's what you're saying. But I'm a scientist. Scientists, we have a scientific measure of defining intelligence. In science, we define it in intelligence quotient. A doctor like me has a triple-digit intelligence quotient. Some people, many of them, have double-digit, A few, like the ones I see fumbling in security, have single-digit intelligence. Now, Tony,
Yes.
do not politicize the fight against terror. The things you've talked about, Kenyatta dumping Jaramogi, Moi doing Biwott and so on, those were choreographed things to achieve certain ends. That was not the fight against terrorism. Politicizing the fight against terrorism is like one. When Mpeketoni was hit by El Shabaab, none other than the commander-in-chief called cameras and told people that this was the work of local political networks. And Olelengu followed it up and said that we in CORD were recruiting Mungiki and MRC to destabilize this country. That is politicizing the fight against terror. If you wanted to congratulate the police, I left that place because they tear-gassed me. They never greeted me.
Maybe I may forgive
Next
you.
question.
Let me ask you real quick.
Before Bonny is actually a very honest man, because before he joined ODM, I was director of protocol. And I actually had many meetings where Raila was with Koinange or Mungiki. And actually, he may not have known. So one day I'll tell him about those meetings.
Okay.
But anyway, that is the
Before we go to break.
But anyway,
Before we go to break.
Before we go to break. But now,
No,
before we go
a
to
serious
break,
question.
I am saying,
No,
I
yes,
want
yes.
Bonny for president. No, I am saying, after the president finishes his term,
Yes.
I have no problem proposing Bonny for president.
Tony.
As long as, no, please, can I make this?
You want to
appeal?
propose him for president?
Yes, and I tell you why. Because a man talks so well, Kemunya must go, is very good. This must go, very good. But now, the only way to become president is votes. And now because I want him to be the next president, I want him to know he must get about 6 million votes, not votes from one area or one region. So I would advise him.
Yes. Okay. Elections later. Real quick.
Yes.
Before we go to break, if you were General Joseph Gaisere right now,
Yes.
what's the first thing you would do once you're appointed? What's the first thing?
I think this evening I've just been talking to the general, and I told him he should be faithful to the Constitution. The problem that the president is faced with is not just the need for him to replace people and put there Gaiseri. The president lacked Michuki. He lacked Saitoti. Michuki and Saitoti, Tony,
Yes.
could meet Kibaki and tell him the truth. But because Uhuru had appointed amateurs, chefs, doormen, if you ask Nasser,
The Grand Mullah.
the Grand Mullah, if you ask him, he had nominated amateurs into critical positions of security. Michuki would not today be telling Uhuru that all is well. Michuki, who eliminated Mungiki, Michuki, who locked Kabogo in parliament for 5 days. Kabogo could not come out because Michuki was convinced Kabogo was causing a problem. Michuki would have told Uhuru that no, this is the red
But
line.
add one name there. Tony Gachoka said, don't pay agrolism. No, just wait. Add Tony Gachoka. You know Bonny. Bonny, the record is watching. No, what I'm saying.
You're taking credit.
No,
Relax.
You're taking credit.
I am saying.
They are completely relaxed.
No, yeah, then also add the name.
I will not kill you.
Because I'm not
Just
here.
relax.
I'm not, you
It's
also
just,
say,
it's just my words.
yeah, do not
It's
say
just my
as
words.
though
So now,
I don't say
so
when
now,
things are wrong.
So now,
I mean,
President Uhuru should run away from people like Tony, and there are many of them. Okay, Tony is known in this country as somebody who used to contribute through the media his own contribution for a better Kenya. But it looks like many other Tonys, their problem was that Akikuyu was not a president. Now that Kibaki became a president, he went quiet. Uhuru is a president, he's quiet. Let us change Kenya. When Aluya is a president and is making a mistake, let us tell him it is wrong. I'm not lying, because when Mudavadi was found in cemeteries, I told him off as chair. When Wetangula was mentioned in Tokyo, I told him off. Just as I told off Kimunya, as I told off the deputy president when he had stolen maize. This is the making of somebody who wants to fight.
so your fights on Mudavadi at Tony Gachoka. Your fights everywhere you go. Let me ask you, Khalwale, who will you ever work with? Everywhere you go, there's a problem. Is that Tony Gachoka? Is that about Kikuyus? No, let me ask you.
Tony.
When you left, when the High Court, let me be very clear about your history, because you are saying you're a leader. Let's be clear. You
I'm
told
saying
me
what I am.
you had no interaction with Uhuru, you said, during your by-election, where we flew with a helicopter, myself, Uhuru, and Ruto. And even Peter Kenneth came, another Kikuyu, who came to campaign for you when Raila was fighting you building a road against your opponent. I have video clips of you fighting with Raila for your re-election.
Gentlemen.
Peter Shoita Shitanda was your member, you fought with him in Newport, Kenya. Now you are telling me Wamalwa took money he never gave you. He's your lawyer. Now you are fighting with Musalia Mudavadi. What do have Kikuyus got to do with this? What do Karangi got to do? What I am saying, you are a man with good words. But sometimes your words are focused anti-Kikuyu. And it is wrong to become a leader who targets a community. Even if you agree that the president is not good. Not every Kikuyu is bad. And what I can never sit and agree is become guilty when I was director of protocol for Raila Odinga and I was the only Kikuyu. I was the campaign leader for Charity Ngilu in 1997. I worked with Eugene Wamalwa, who he knows I have sat with him many times here and in Western. I have never worked with my tribe. So to stand in national television and to accuse Tony Gachoka, I'm sorry that I have become quiet because Uhuru is president, because I said no to ICC. I said the person who was meant to go to ICC is a Kikuyu called Mwai Emilio Kibaki and a man called Raila Odinga. They hold the highest criminal responsibility.
Okay, Tony.
That's
Tony,
all I
you
said.
want to respond or shall I ask a question? You want to respond?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to Tony. Tony, please do not set me against Kikuyus. Because unlike you, I fought for President Kibaki, and go and ask his wife, Mary Wambui. We used to be...
which one?
Kibaki's wife. I don't know Mary.
No, relax. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I don't know.
Give me time.
Okay, yeah.
Go and ask Kibaki's wife, Wambui, and his daughter, Winnie, when we used to go around the country looking for votes for Kibaki, I did so not because he was a Kikuyu or he wasn't. In 2005, 2007, my community was for Raila. But because I believed in Kibaki, I stood with him. For your information, I was almost killed. My car was wrecked and all that because I am a nationalist.
And when I campaigned in your constituency, when you gave me a mic and you held my hand, I was not a Kikuyu then.
Relax. Now, on the issue you have raised about the choppers, Uhuru and Ruto, because they were desperate to share the spoils of my victory, they came for my victory party in those choppers. They were not on the ground. In Western Province, if Uhuru had come in my by-election, I would have lost at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Gentlemen, can we come back to the state of the nation, because this is becoming very personal.
It's good.
I'm losing track. I'm losing track.
We have to cut him to size.
Let's take another break and come back and look for solutions. Dr. Ari,
I have them.
Let's look for solutions. Tony, the way forward.
The Constitution and the rule of law.
By the way, the views expressed in JKL are the senators and Tony's, not ours.
Why?
Not KTN's.
You were cool as here.
I know, but you just mentioned Kibaki's wife. That's your story.
I did.
That's your story.
Yeah. Because when he introduced her to me, he told me she was the wife. He told me. Why would I lie?
But he said he only has one wife.
And if Kibaki is watching me, he knows that he told me at the Golf Hotel. I would have known.
Me, I only know Lucy. And her children.
That's your business.
I don't know. Me, I don't know.
That's your business.
I don't know.
Ninajua Kikuyu muko na mambo yenu ya kashungu.
Na nyinyi hamuna?
You just marry your second wife. And your third wife.
Mundo.
Kibaki had a press conference in State House with the police commissioner.
My goodness. Keep tweets coming at Tony Gachoka, at Bonny Mtetezi, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. It is time. I have to do this.
Akasema bibi ni moja. Alikuwa na police commander.